The time is just gone 19 minutes past 9 as we continue with the second half of the broadcast on News and Views right here on Salam Media this morning. Now, this is definitely wonderful news on this day of Jummah that we are bringing to you, our listeners, our viewers this morning. And we're talking about the visa, the concessions for the people of Palestine, Palestinian citizens, which is now a reality in South Africa, where Palestinians can come to South Africa visa free. Now, we must acknowledge the activism of Member of Parliament, the Honorable National Freedom Party leader, Ahmed Munzoor Shaik Emam. And this morning, I got a message just making reference to the saying, the fruits of 4 years of plowing an issue that was rendered by apathy. His guts, his courage, and conviction, as well as perseverance, must be applauded. Now, this came through this morning to me, and my absolute pleasure to welcome Ahmed Manzoor Sheikh Imam once again to Salam Media and to this morning's broadcast of News and Views. Sheikh Ahmed Manzoor, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Jummah Mubarak to you and welcome.
Walaikum salam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Juma Mubarak to you and all our viewers out there as well.
You know, when you phoned me yesterday to give me the good news, really, I was elated. And I know that, your advocacy has been relentless. It's been hard. The message that I had read out that I got from a listener this morning, obviously, acknowledging your efforts, the hard work that you had actually put in. And I'm sure you equally elated by these developments in terms of visas being waived for Palestinian nationals coming to South Africa.
Jazakallah and Jazakallah for those kind words. Yes, indeed, I am elated. I am excited. It's something that I've been taking forward, but I've been persistent even up last week when I sent questions to the Minister of Home Affairs asking him to confirm when. Because if you remember, initially he said to me by the end of June it will be sorted out. And so I was getting a bit restless, a bit impatient, but I believe that you had to persevere, and which I did. And Alhamdulillah, I think we are now going to enjoy the fruits of ensuring our Palestinian brothers and sisters will be afforded the same rights as their Israeli counterparts to come to South Africa. Remember that previously, my brother, they were allowed to come with visas, but very stringent conditions were put in place. So stringent that a lot of them were actually rejected. But Alhamdulillah, I think with a bit of hard work and the support of the people in South Africa for the plight of the Palestinian people, of course, Alhamdulillah, we were able to now have this achieved as well. And let's hope and pray that we could have our brothers and sisters come and visit us here. Let's invite them over, particularly some of them that are going through a very difficult time, some of them that are homeless, some of them that have lost family members and things.
Yes, but also, you make mention in your press statement, you speak about this development, which signifies a watershed moment in South Africa's history. And at the same time, emphasizing the broader commitment so that our policies, the policies of our government, are aligned, particularly international policies, with the principles of human rights and justice.
Well, I think the difficulty that I have is that while some of us, of course, we preach one thing, we practice something else. If you look at the effort that needed to go into even downgrading of the South African embassy in Israel, remember that this was also a motion of the ANC in their 2017 conference. They did not implement. But again, with added pressure and things, tabling this motion, which took many years, which made me restless again, frustrated because my turn was not coming. But eventually, alhamdulillah, it came and we've managed to achieve. But I think it's very important. We must also thank government, the Minister Motsoaledi, and the ANC themselves. I mean, they're in government, they are the majority government. So the decisions come via cabinet in any event, and for taking the stance. And I think we must welcome that. However, I think a lot more work needs to be done to fight the fight of the Palestinian cause. And I believe that South Africa is at prime position to be able to play a pivotal role in the freedom of the Palestinian people.
Yes, and also Minister Naledi Pandor, because this was an issue that I had raised with her during the ANC's conference, the elective conference where we've had the opportunity to interview her, and I actually raised this issue with her as well. And she made that commitment at this point in time. So we need to acknowledge her contribution as well.
Yes, indeed. I can tell you now, I've had a chat with her last week. She's applying for a visa to go to Palestine the first week in October, and she's not certain whether she's going to get it. Let us go back to the past. Ronnie Cassel's attempted to go to Palestine, and they gave him a problem. They would not give him the visa. He didn't want to go to Israel. He wanted to go to Palestine until Thabo Mbeki intervened and said, if you don't give this man the visa, then we're going to do exactly the same to you. Exactly in my case as well. I was rejected a visa. Even Honorable Nyonso from the PAC was also rejected. No answers as to why, whatever it is, nothing. In other words, if you are vociferous, if you want to speak about the plight of the Palestinian people, they will do what the apartheid government did, which they will silence you and not even allow you to come. If there was nothing to hide, they would allow us to come there, so we'd be able to, give a report which is free, fair, credible, transparent. But clearly, they know what they're hiding and what the situation. But Minister Pando has also been very vocal, and for that reason, brother, I think that she's also on their target list, on their most wanted list. And it will be interesting to see whether they will grant her that diplomatic visa for her to travel in October. But she has been not only on the issue of Palestine, on many issues. The one thing I can say about Minister Pando is this, that she calls a spade a spade. You can't mess around with her. She's not going to be influenced by the wealth of a country or the influence they have on other politicians or whatever it is. She says it like it is. So I think we must congratulate both the Minister of International, Lady Pando, and, well, as the Minister of Home Affairs for implementing this. Remember that although the Minister of Home Affairs had implemented it, it would not have been entirely his decision. It would have been a cabinet decision. And of course, Minister Pando would have played a vital role in ensuring that we achieve this.
Yes. Now, I'm also certain that this news must have filtered down already to the Palestinian embassy, the Palestinian authorities, and I'm sure they are certainly going to welcome these latest developments.
Yes, indeed. Yes. More importantly, it's on the website, the Home Affairs website. If you go onto the website, you will see the exemption list of all countries that are exempt from visas to South Africa, and Palestine is now recorded as one of them. So, Alhamdulillah, they have actually updated their records. Correspondents, I'm advised, have gone to all the missions all over, advising them accordingly. And yes, the Palestinian Authority, the embassy in South Africa, is fully aware of it. I'm told it's trending on some of the social media groups of Palestine. But yes, indeed, I think the message has gone around, and most people now, by the end of today, I think all, if not most, will be privy to that information. And of course, yeah, take advantage of those visa-free entry into South Africa.
Well, one thing that actually stands out for me is just to look at the value that politicians like yourself actually bring into Parliament and by raising these issues. And I know we are heading towards the elections, and it's just so important to have people like yourselves represented in Parliament to be able to raise these issues that others won't. And I know you've been a lone voice in this, but, looking ahead, there are just so many lessons for us in terms of participating in the political structures, but also more importantly, to be able to articulate, to be able to raise issues that are of concern to us, both on a local and also issues that impact on us on a global level.
Yes, Jazakallah for that. Yes, I think it's very important point that, only we can decide our destination in terms of the particular, like in the South Africa that we live in. And if you see where we are, where we're heading to. But very importantly, brother, on the point that you're making, we all have limited time in this country, in our life, in the world, all over. And we know for a fact that amongst the Ummah, amongst our communities, we have people with the highest levels of integrity. They have the capacity, they have the ability. We have people, professionals in the health sector, in the financial sector, in the legal sector, and we need people to come together This can't be a once-off thing. Somebody's got to be able to take over. Somebody's got. If we can only come together, bring our skills together, our expertise. We have such successful businessmen and women in amongst our people. If we can come together, we can give direction to this country. But more importantly, raise concern where it affects our people all over the world. Human rights violations is immense all over the world, and not many people are speaking. If you look at what is happening in India at the moment, did you ever hear any politicians or leaders even? We've had the BRICS summit. They've been to India now for the G20. Has anybody raising the atrocities that are being committed in India against the Muslims, the Christians, and the Dalits and others? No. So we need people like minded people to come up here and be part and parcel of the solution, raise these things, bring conclusion, but positive conclusion to these things so that we can make the world a better place to live in. And I want to plead to our brothers and sisters to come. Let's work together. Let's be part of the solution. We need a lot more representation in government, in all the spheres, national, provincial, and local spheres. We need that, and we have it. We just need to get them to come out of the nest that we belong to, where we're quite comfortable the way we are, to understand that if we don't create a conducive environment, the future generations are going to suffer in this country.
Yes, and also, looking at us in South Africa as well, and we know that there are a number of issues that are brewing, and I've seen. I'm not too sure whether you've seen this latest communication with regard to the CRL Rights Commission and the survey with regard to religious freedoms, and obviously the concern that has been raised is with this whole hate speech bill, through the legislative process, the impact that this could possibly have on our identity, on our values, on our faith, the whole LGBTQ thing issue that is playing out. We know that submissions have been made by the Association of Muslim Accountants and Lawyers to the Parliamentary Committee. UXA lawyers have made their submissions. Now, these are issues that are playing out that could impact on our religious beliefs, on our values, and if there is legislation. Now, this is the reason why we need to be with it, both within the government and also outside of government, where we need to be very, very vigilant and obviously make a standpoint where it's necessary and where it is going to impact on us in a negative way.
Yes, brother. Let me say this: that we can't afford to be asleep for one single day. There's so much happening, and it's moving so fast. And the influence, particularly the West, the amount of monies that they put into these things, how they want to cause chaos and mayhem, division amongst our people, and the so-called democratic destructive society that they're talking about with constitutional rights. So we need to be very, very careful and very mindful of that. And yes, indeed, to a very large extent, this bill could be very problematic for us. But also, I want to raise something very important. We must be very, very cautious as to what we wish for. You always think the grass is greener on the other side. Right now, I can tell you the amount of money that is being pumped into this country from abroad, the Zionist, Israel, and many others. They have a vision, they have a plan. Their plan is to have a regime change so that we can reverse all the gains we have made here. So again, it means be very careful what we wish for, because what we wish for might come back to bite us later on. But coming back to the date bill, yes, I think we must oppose it in large numbers. You can't expect and influence people based on your own ideology and your own vision of what you really see and what you want, and everything that they are talking about in any event. And if you look at more and more of these pro-Western, perhaps if that's the way I should put it, is bills that are coming, comments that are coming, when they intend to a very large extent to influence the way we conduct ourselves, the way we live. In other words, they want to dictate as to how we should live our life, what should be good enough for us and what is not good enough. We have direction. We have wisdom. We are, particularly as the Ummah, I must be so grateful that we have everything there, that we can offer to everybody else. But here it is particularly the West. And I know this because when I was the chair of the Human Social Development Committee in the SADC Parliament, a lot of money was coming in for abortions, LGBTIQ communities, all these. They want to push this. They want to influence. If you notice, my brother, not long ago, you've hardly heard about it. But today it is like every other person. It's on the lip of every other person talking about LGBT. It's becoming a fashion. So they are taking away, from our morals and our values and our ethics. And we need to be very, very careful. Remember that some of these people thrive on division, on mayhem, on chaos. And that is what they want. If you remember, my brother, during the days of colonialism, what did they divide us on was on religion. That is not working anymore. If you see the way Islam particularly is spreading all over the world, you're now gone to 2.2 billion. So it's not working. So now they want to go deeper into it and start coming up with all these things, which will cause havoc in the lives of our people. So we need to be very careful about that. We need to oppose these things. We must be very vocal about it. But more importantly, be very careful what you're wishing for. Yes, there are weaknesses in the country at the moment. There's no doubt about it. And the only solution is to bring in people with the expertise and the skills to come and be part and parcel of the solution, rather than sitting back and expecting somebody else to do it. They're not going to do it. And that's when these people that want to influence how we live our life will have the upper hand.
Jazakallah khairan so much for that, my brother, for sharing your wisdom, your experience as well. And it obviously features very, very strongly and advice that is definitely worth taking. And I'm sure as we head towards the elections, a lot more discussions will be held with people like yourselves, because at this point in time, Muslims in this country are somewhat in a dilemma in terms of where do our political affiliations lie. Who do we vote for? Who do we not vote for? And these are discussions that are taking place as well. And I'm sure over a period of time, we will provide a lot more clarity and, more importantly, the advice and sharing your experience and expertise with us going forward, inshallah. Have yourself a wonderful Jummah. And once again, Jazakallah, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala accept your efforts. Allah reward your efforts. This
Ameen.
milestone that has been achieved, alhamdulillah, it's going to ease the plight of many, many Palestinians coming into this country. And our du'as are with you that Allah accept, Allah reward your efforts.
Ameen. Ameen. Wa alaikum salam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Yes, that is the leader of the NFP in Parliament, Ahmed Munzoor Shaik Emam, with us, and alhamdulillah, his tireless efforts in achieving what he has, and also at the same time, just talking about the other issue with regard to the challenges and this whole opposition to this hate bill, which is extremely important. And this is the reason why the United Ulama Council of South Africa has issued this communication. If you haven't seen it or you haven't heard of it by now, this is a communication on a survey on religious freedom, where the UXA is urging all members of the public, ulama, parents, educators, learners, to take a moment and complete the survey. And it's more important that we make our voices heard, and also at the same time urging the ulama to raise this issue during the Jummah khutbahs today. And also remember that we've got until the 30th of September to complete this survey. All the details are there with regard to how to complete the survey, what it really means, and how important it is for each and every one of us. And we need to come out in our numbers in completing the survey. So this is what we are urging you to do this morning right here on Salam Media. The time is just gone, 9:37. We're going to go for a break, and we'll be joined by Maulana Musa Akudi. The much discussed, the much talked about Al-Aqsa tour, the spiritual and educational tour to Al-Aqsa, is a reality.